river sand is round. It isn't going to cut anything. And he drilled all of his stones 1/4 of an inch, and then he extrapolated how long it would take to drill the stone. So he came up with a normal banner stone. It would take 3 days to 3 weeks to drill one of these stones. And I thought,
These
well,
are
that's
all mine.
ridiculous. And he used water. Well, water's a lubricant in certain instances.
But it said
And
these.
so, and it was
Those
just
ain't
a
mine.
cane.
Those ain't
So he
mine.
lost 1.5 foot of cane to drill a 1/4 inch hole. So what I did is I said, there's got to be a better way. So what I use is this, flint dust, for making my arrowheads. I'll sweep up the floor,
Banner stone.
winnow it out on a breezy day, pick up the size that I want, and then I'll put about 1 millimeter. I'll put about 15 grains in there. And then I'll use my cane dry. Lovely sound. Usually takes about 2 passes to get something appreciable out of it. Well, I hardly got anything out of it. What the heck happened? Didn't I put my grit in? And when the white man shows up with steel, that's because they're using all the old ones. They got so many of them left, they just use them and use them and use them, even though they're not the same tribe. So these are handy. Now you can also see if I'm doing the right thing. This is my hammerstone. This is one from a golf course near my house, Jack Nicklaus Golf Course, called Stonewolf. And that's 5000 BC. So I can compare what I'm doing with what the ancient people did to see if I'm using the same tools the same way. One thing that we have found is that when I batter it, little bits of that green stone get caught in between these pieces. So I'm going to try to find a geologist and see if we can't get the sample out of here and put it in some kind of machine and figure out what the original axe material was. Because we should be able to find the hammerstones and then see what the axe material is that they're battering with it. This is a piece of seasoned hickory. When you cut it with a stone axe, this is the stone axe mark. You cut it across the grain. I was a carpenter, so across the grain is a cross-cut saw. A rip saw goes with the grain, and that's where the adze comes in. This works with the grain. So once you get a cut started, you can take it out in between. So this would be an equivalent of our rip saw today that goes with the grain. The other one is a cross cut, goes across the grain. One of the things that I have on the table that's really hokey is this deer jaw sickle. And I know this looks funny and it's not that practical, but these things really work. Now this one's getting old. These teeth are loose. They've dried out. But the Indians would use these and use them for cutting the thatch for their roofs. On a regular Indian house that's probably 10 feet by 12 feet square, they would need 3 pickup trucks full of prairie grass to do one roof for those houses.
Wow.
So when you get these, you want to make sure they're sharp. So every one that I excavated 23 of them a couple years ago in Chesterfield, Missouri, at the airport there. And all of them were less than 2.5 years old. That's because the deer's teeth start to get wear on them after 2.5 years. Before that, they're really sharp. So they use a 2.5-year-old or younger deer, and when you put it in a handle like this little knob keeps it from coming through. And then this thick part keeps it from coming through the other way. So you can grab prairie grass and this big blue stem and stuff that grows about this tall, and you can grab it and just zip right through it. It's amazing how well these things cut. And so when I saw it, I figured, well, mine looks pretty simple. These are the originals from a cave in Missouri. You can see how crudely they're made. Yeah, they aren't. There isn't much to them. And this one's actually just 2 sticks lashed together and tied at the end. So the idea is that it works, not necessarily that it looks like $1 million. So these tools are made to work. Now I've got a stone hoe here. This is what the people at Koki Mounds were agricultural people, right? This is what they would use for breaking up the sod. All right. There's actually a movie out there somewhere